What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm here to break down Talladega Xfinity Series for the Draftkings slate. If you've never done a Talladega NASCAR Draftkings slate before, it's not like any of the other slates. The Talladega and Daytona are pretty much their own thing. You really pay more attention to lineup construction versus like each individual play as a driver. Who's good where. We implement a strategy called stack the back, where you just play a lot of guys starting in the back. If you're really unfamiliar with that, I'll pin something up at the top that will pin a video from the past where I really go and break down throughout all the data, just looking at why we stack the back in tournaments and in cash for this DraftKings slate at Talladega. So we're really going to be focusing more here on lineup construction than anything here. For this race, I think what the main strategy we're going here is if you're playing cash, I'm playing every single driver starting. Every driver in my lineup, if you're playing a cash lineup, is starting behind 20th. And I think you can sneak in Noah Gregson in there if you want, but I still probably would go with 6 drivers that are starting 20th or back. If you're playing tournaments, I'm not playing anybody inside the top 10, but I am playing guys starting 11th on back. I think you can even play Ryan C if you wanted to, but I don't think you really need to. So that's how we're looking at lineup strategy. We'll just go through each individual play as well, just talk a little bit about them, because there are going to be some guys I probably don't want to get to anyway. But seriously, in the top 10, I'm not playing any of these guys. They just offer you they offer you really nothing, man. Once again, check out that video that I'll link it in the description for this video, as well as pin it up at the top. Go ahead and check out that video. You'll really understand why we stacked back here. So I know Jeffrey Earnhardt, this is a cool story, right? He's in the 3 car for RCR this week. But, I'm just not playing him on the pole. He really serves me no upside here, so there's no point in playing him. He only serves downside. If Jeffrey Earnhardt wrecks, that's why we stacked the back at Talladega, because there's a million wrecks, and big wrecks takes out half the field, he's going to end up with negative points. So there's really no upside here. Laps led are very hard to come by at Talladega. They're not a thing where we see drivers go out and dominate, 75% of this race. So Austin Hill, I know he won Daytona, but I'm just not interested. Ty Gibbs, not interested. Sheldon Creed, not interested. Hemrick, not interested. Castle, not interested. Vargas, Kaz Gralla, Drew Dollar, Ryan Sieg, not going to play any of them. But moving on to the 11 range now, if you're playing guys in the 11 through 20 range, you're only playing tournaments, so GBP style tournaments. I think in single entry you can probably get away from 1 or 2 of them. But if you're playing cash lineups, I still don't really want any of these. But for tournaments, look, I like Justin Allgaier. He's probably not going to be too highly owned. That's fine. Anthony Alfredo, I think, is fine. AJ Allmendinger, if you want to get there. I think AJ Allmendinger's due for a win at Daytona or Talladega. I don't know how he hasn't won one the last 3 years. He's literally right there every single time. He seems due for a win. Would not be surprised to see him win today. Sam Mayer, fine with that. I'm fine going to Brandon Jones. Fine with Josh Berry, who will probably be really popular. Brandon Brown won Talladega last year, so I'm sure he'll get some ownership. But he's fine. Brett Moffitt's fine. Really like Noah Gregson. I think him and AJ are just due, man. Noah Gregson only won Daytona a few years ago, but since then he's just been right up towards the front. Seems like every single one he's played racing and just does not win. So him and AJ Allmendinger, I feel like, are due for wins. If I were to pick a winner, it'd be one of those two today. Then Riley Herbst, completely fine there. He's actually not been a terrible plate racer. I know we don't really like him anywhere else, but at plate tracks he's not. He usually runs up towards the front. So 11 through 20, pretty much only playing these guys in tournaments and single entry. And I think you can sneak in Noah Gregson to a cash lineup if you want to make you feel more comfortable about it. But I still would rather play guys starting 20th on back here. Going down through this, Alex Labbe, as we get through 20 guys, I think these guys are very viable in cash and tournaments. Like Labbe here, $7,000 starting 21st. I think he should run well. Jeff Burton, $8,400 starting 22nd. Looks like a good play. Cesar Baccarella. This is one of the guys where I'm not as sure on. We've seen Caesar usually runs these plate races every single year. That's pretty much what he does in NASCAR. Mostly just the plate race and a few here and there. This is better equipment than he's ever been in. But we usually see him starting in the 30th, and he doesn't really run around up towards the front. So the only way that Caesar really ever works out for you is if there's a big wreck. However, he's usually starting in the 30s, so the floor is way, way lower. Starting 23rd, that does make me a little bit worried. I think I'd still be okay to go there if you want, but I think there's better plays than Caesar today. Joe Graff Jr., we don't really ever like playing Joe Graff, but I'm okay going there. Starting 24th, that's fine. Mason Massey, kind of the same thing. Like Josh Williams, I think is a good play. Starting 26th, that looks like a good play to me. Same thing with Matt Mills, starting 27th. I like J.J. Yaley, starting 28th. He always seems to do pretty well at these plate races. Bailey Curry, 29th at $5,200, and then looks good. And I'm sure Chandler Smith and Myatt Snyder are just going to be super chalky, super popular in tournaments today and cash, because I mean they're just, like we said, we want to play guys starting in the back. They're not too expensive for you. If people are playing guys starting 20th on back, I mean, these are probably the first two guys you're going to go to. I mean, Chandler Smith's the guy they know from the Truck Series. He's in a good car in Sam Hunt today. Myatt Snyder, we know Myatt Snyder's in Jordan Anderson Racing, which has been decent. So, I mean, these are going to be two really popular plays. I don't see anything wrong going there. I will be playing these plays. They seem pretty good to me. Shane Lee at $5,500. I think that's fine if you want to go to him. Greg Galding. I mean, this Mike Harmon team, I mean, they seem to have mechanical issues every single week, it seems like, when they're out there. So I get it if you don't want to go there, but he does start 33rd. And we have seen him run well. I mean, Greg Galding had a win that was taken away from him at Talladega years ago because I think he was doing drugs or something. But he won that race. So, but whatever, that's a different story. But at 4,600, that was, oh no, wait, that's not Greg Galding. That wasn't Greg Galding. Never mind. That was Spencer Gallagher. I got the names mixed up. Never mind. Greg Galding's never won a race at Talladega. I'm wrong. But starting 33rd at $4,600, I mean, that's a fine play for me either way. I understand being worried about Mike Harmon equipment. In all honesty, that's not like you really need to go dumpster diving because, I mean, I haven't really said that in this video yet, but if you go watch that other video, I mean, salary doesn't matter. You'll see why, optimal lineups always leave a ton of money on the table at these plate races. So, you don't need to spend all your money today, so you don't need to play Greg Galding. Jeremy Clemens looks really good here. I mean, starting 34th. He's better than all these other guys starting down here at the bottom, so really like that. David Starr, I mean, it's David Starr, but starting 35th, that's interesting to me. Same thing with Joey Gase. Always seems to keep his car clean, especially now that he's a team owner, so I think that's probably a really good play. He'll probably ride around the back all day, and when the wrecks happen, he will avoid them, so I really like Joey Gase. Kyle Sieg, 37th, looks good to me. Ryan Ellis starting 38th is fine, and then these three didn't qualify, they missed the race, so I mean, that's pretty much where we're at. I mean, it's, not a ton to really break down because it's Talladega. It's pretty much the same thing. You just play the guys in the back. That's how it's always been. That's how it's going to continue to be unless somehow we get a non-wreck fest. But, I mean, they're going to wreck it. Xfinity Series. That's what they do. So, be sure to go check out that other video where I go over, why it's important to stack the back and why you don't need to spend all your salary on the lineup. But, once again, if you're playing tournaments, I would play guys starting in the 11 to 20 range just because they're not going to be as highly owned, and those guys do always end up in the optimal lineup. But if you're playing cash, just play guys starting 20 if on back. You want a high floor in cash, and that's what that gives you. So, that's pretty much where we're at. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe. Thanks for checking this out today, and I'll see you later for the Cup Series.